Hi, my name is David Dowdy. I am your local business coach and training company, Action Coach Lake Norman, and I'm thrilled to have Mack MacCutcheon on the line with us today for the Business Spotlight interview series. And Mack owns Team Talented. So, Mack, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Team Talented, if you would.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me on today, David. It's a honor to be here. Um, I own Team Talented. It has operates with three primary divisions. So we have our entertainer management division, we have our event management division, and then our event promotions and ticketing division. And so they all operate under the same umbrella. But for those that might be a little curious about what that looks like, it's for the event or for the entertainer management, negotiating contracts, looking into TV and movie, and kind of guiding their careers. For the event management, that's road managers, production managers. Those are the folks who go out and produce the events. And then for the event promotions and ticketing, that's how we bring in the revenue. So, advertising these events. We've done events all over the United States of America and have even done some in England and Greece as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's been fun to be a part of this. And
I didn't
my
didn't realize I
background.
was speaking with an international businessman here. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was actually just this year was our first foray into international events, and learned a lot. As you know, in business ownership, is you don't learn it until you try it. And so, but it was very successful and great. And but I've been in the industry, in the entertainment industry, for about 13 years. Started initially as a singer-songwriter on the entertaining side of things, and realized it wasn't quite for me. And so then I got into road management, and then production management, and then tour management and bookings management. And I kind of took all that under one umbrella, and that's how I am here today. So
wow, that's quite the track record. So, I mean, I'm sure you've learned a lot. If you were to go back to day one or had the opportunity to have a fresh start, what do you think you'd do differently knowing what you know now?
I think the like kind of that square one, day one advice to myself, and really to anybody who's either starting a business or is even thinking about starting a business is don't be afraid to fail. We just talked about that a moment ago. It's don't be afraid to fail. Number one, because like I just said, you have to try something new to learn it. And growth comes from learning and from trying new things. And fail forward, not backwards. And what that looks like is I actually had somebody I had somebody once. This was like, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, back when I was working for somebody. But he introduced me to the team, and he said, I like this guy. He's somebody who's never been afraid to disagree with me. Which, by the way, leaders, if you have folks on your team that disagree with you, that's not a bad thing. You really, if every single person around you is only ever saying yes, you might be coming up on some trouble eventually. It's good to have folks around you that don't always say yes to every idea you have. So, and then he also said, and I've never met anybody who's failed better. I thought to myself, what in the world does that mean? He said, but what he said is that, he's somebody who fails forward and not backwards. And that's really where I learned that along the way is, when you fail forward, it's because you're trying something new and you're going all in and it doesn't work out. You fall forward, you skin your knees, and you just get back up running. Failing backwards is when it doesn't work out. You paralyze, you fall backwards, and it's like a turtle on its shell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You lay there, you ruminate, you question everything. The best advice that I could give to people in business and leadership, or just in general, is just keep moving.
Yeah.
In fact, Tony Robbins talks about motion equals emotion. And so just remember, just keep moving. It'll be okay. It'll probably be a lot better than you thought.
Yeah. If we're going to go through the pain and learn something, we might as well apply it to the future instead of just turning and going the other way. So that's great. Glad to know somebody that's never failed bigger or better than you. So congratulations on that. So that may be maybe kind of part of this next question. What are some of the bigger learnings that you've had in your days here?
You know, I think as you grow a business, it's things that I learned from others, always be out there learning willing to learn from experts in their field. But there's a incredible communicator, teacher, and pastor named Darius Daniels. I was listening to one of his sermons once, and he said, you won't go as far as your dream. You'll only go as far as your team. And I'm going to let that sit for a second, because there is uh, your dream is not feasible on the level that you probably want it to be without a team around you, and that takes risk. I remember the very first time I made the big move to hire a key person for my organization, and I knew that by hiring that person that year, I was actually going to operate at a loss.
Hmm.
But I also knew that in order to get to where I needed to go next, where we needed to go next, where the organization needed to go next, I needed that person. And so you won't go as far as your dream. You'll only go as far as your team. And then another Michael Jr., amazing comedian. He's somebody I've helped throughout my life and is a client of ours. But
Hmm.
and my best friend. He's just a great guy.
He's
But go out and
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you've heard his stuff.
Yep.
Amazing teacher. Go check out his stuff if you're listening. But he something that he would say, and in his organization, and I picked up on that, and is if God can't trust me with the people beside me, I can't be trusted with the people in front of me. And that goes back again to that team thing. You really have to. It's very easy when you're in the trenches, um, and people make mistakes and they're not doing things the way you wanted them to, or they're not doing it fast enough. It is easy to fixate on, start to second guess them and question or whatever it might. These are the people that have been brought around you, and never forget the value. If you can do well with them, you'll have more opportunities in front of you. But if you can't steward the people around you well, I'm going to say there's probably, I don't know, we can say God sets the cap or whatever, but there's probably going to be a cap on where your success can go.
Yep. Yeah. I believe there is a story about that. If you can't handle the little things, probably not going to be given the bigger things.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you touched on the people side of it. It sounds like you're really oriented in that direction, the people side and the relationships and leadership and development and what do you look for in the people that you put around yourself as you look to hire or contract or partner with people? What are some of the characteristics you seek out?
So I am going to quote a legend in our community because I learned this from him. I worked for Dressler's restaurant.
Yeah,
Golly, it was like 15 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. It was right around the time that I first got into music. But John Dressler.
phenomenal place, by
Oh,
the
I
way.
know. Oh,
Yeah,
my word. And back then it was right after Max's Alley, and now and then he opened Dressler's in Birkdale, and now I mean you can't drive 10 miles in the city without one of his restaurants on the corner. And I have all the respect in the world for John Dressler. And he is an incredible leader, incredible business owner. And what he would tell people before they would start, it didn't matter the position. He would say, I need three things of you, three things: show up on time, have fun, and give a darn. Right. And so those are the three qualities that when I'm I'll talk briefly about a couple other qualities, but really what that boils down to: show up on time. That means you're reliable and consistent. Have fun. That's good spirit. We need that. That's culture, right? That's the culture of your organization,
that's right.
is
Yeah,
people have a positive attitude. And that third one, that's care. And I can teach you how to do just about anything, but I can't teach you to care. So regard there's a intangible, there's a person that looks to care about their work, and you can usually pick up on that quality pretty quick. um, the other thing really yeah, I would just say I'm gonna end on John Dressler's amazing quote, because I think if you start there, you can teach the mechanics of just about any job. But if you have those three qualities in somebody, they're going to do great.
Yeah, and just talking with people and you spend a little time with them, generally those characteristics will come through one way or another, and you get a read on people. So you sound like a very optimistic, positive, oriented person. So looking for that positivity is going to be key. So we
Yeah.
chatted about it a few minutes before the we started. This whole exercise of business ownership, it seems so glorious on one side of the fence. So what's been your experience on some of the misconceptions and maybe how you learn the difference or learn the truth and have dealt with it?
Yes. I think that there's probably two that I would say common misconceptions. I think as people look at business ownership is one, uh, uh, instant financial or time freedom, or maybe early, maybe not instant for everybody, but that it's this is the path to financial freedom and time freedom. It, it is business ownership initially. A lot of times when you see business owners, you got to see the 3 years later, the 5 years later, the 10 years later. You didn't see the year one where you're the janitor, the cook, like whatever. I mean, you're locking the like you are every position. You're your own admin. You are doing every single position in the organization, and you have to be willing to that first year. You're rolling up your sleeves with your team. You are crawling through the mud,
Yeah.
literally for probably some organizations and metaphorically for others. But I think that that's a common one because my I mentioned it earlier with the hire, but I mean my first year, speaking of the financial freedom, my first year I operated at a loss, and that's not uncommon in the industry, and just in any industry. um, but and then just keep pushing, stay positive,
Is
be on
it
mission.
interesting? I had the opportunity to speak at a local high school earlier today to an entrepreneurial class. And that same point came out. Don't expect to come right out of the gates with all that money and all
Yes.
that freedom. Like the commitment
And
is key. And if you're not willing to commit to that ride, yeah, go in eyes wide open, of course.
yeah, exactly, 100%,
Good,
David.
good deal. So you've had a good run. I think you said 3 years now with the current business. So
Yeah.
you've got some fantastic names that you represent, some individuals. So what do you attribute that growth to for you personally?
Well, I am going to say, I know this wasn't like a Bible podcast, but I am going to say, I am going to attribute the growth personally to God first and foremost. And the reason why I say that is the map that I thought that I had,
Mm.
so much smaller than the big picture. He has the map, and then I am going to say too, another shout out to Michael Jr. But we've been journeying together for 10 years now. He was the guy when I was a road manager, production manager, booking all of that growth as I was coming up was with him. And what I think a lot of the growth that I've seen really recently as we kind of hit a sweet spot is a lot of the things that I've learned about managing conflict that I learned from Michael Jr. and his Funny How Marriage Works teachings. And the there's a what he teaches, and I've applied it, is there's a tendency that when somebody does something that bothers you, you just kind of either get frustrated or like whatever it might be. Um, the best thing that you can do is to get internally curious and ask the question, what is this inside of me that is so bothered by whatever this thing is? And I think as leaders and as business owners, to be able to capitalize on that ability, if you can navigate any situation with peace and patience and goodness and gentleness and self-control, to be able to navigate those situations, you're going to treat people better, and that's going to have your team's going to stay around with you longer. The thing is, the really good ones, if you don't treat them well, they're the ones that leave first
Mm.
because they don't put up that there's somewhere else that they can go. So then you can end up with a lot of the ones that are just willing to stick around with your bad attitude.
Yeah.
So I do think as well, and I've really come into that as a leader over the last couple of years as a result of learning that from Michael Jr. is just, just anytime something's not right in me, just, first stop and ask the question, what is this inside of me that's so bothered by this? Because if I can get free of that, oh my word.
And there's a lot packed into that right
Oh,
there.
there's a whole event series packed into that.
Oh,
Funnyhowtheworksworks.com.
so, this thing of running a business, I mean, there are time demands, this physical, emotional, spiritual demands on you, and especially in your business, the cadence of it, the timing of events and whatnot. I mean, it's potentially 24/7. How do you
Yeah,
keep things in check from a balance standpoint to keep your own sanity and take care of yourself?
that is an excellent question. And I would say it starts with priority, and you really have to check yourself, whether you're a leader or at any point in your career journey. But it's about priority. For me personally, it's God, family, work. So like you gotta prioritize, because if you are working to work, I mean, what that can't be all. That can't be all that this is about. So I think it starts with priority, and when you find the priority, you'll find the balance. In fact, I would say when you find the priority, the balance will find you.
Mm,
And so, I'll kind of a personal story on how I actually ended up starting a company was, I'm a single dad, and COVID was just, I mean, it was crazy for all of us. But the live event
yep.
industry, I used
Oh,
to,
yeah.
yeah, I used to joke that my job was illegal in 50 states there for a little bit because nobody was allowed to come. So during that time, I ended up moving out to Dallas, just to try to keep things afloat. And I had a moment where my son would either come out to visit me or I'd come out to visit him. And he was 3 at the time, and it was around when he was 3 where he said, "Dad, I'm gonna miss you." And that was when it clicked. That was when it really clicked for me, that it was time to go and start a business so that I could be a more. That's literally how I came back to Charlotte. I came back to Charlotte. I didn't know who my first client was going to be. And so I started this business, so that I could be around my son, be an engaged dad, and I, there's a lot of steps that went into it, but I found success, I think, as a result of I wouldn't be doing this. I literally would not own a successful business if I hadn't prioritized what was important first. And now I live 4 minutes down the street from my son. I see him all the time. I'm an engaged dad. He's loved, he's cared for. And so, um, yeah, priority. You have to make that choice, because nobody else is going to make the choice for you as a
Oh,
leader on what you're going to prioritize.
that's right. That's
You
right.
have to make that choice. It's not going to just naturally show up.
Yeah. I mean, that's gold right there. Make a decision. You can't ride the fence all the time and
Yeah.
balance everything, but prioritize. I appreciate you sharing that. So as we kind of approach the end here, any final words or thoughts that, you know, golden nuggets you might share of wisdom that you might share with the listeners here?
Yes. I w- I think that for all of us, whether it be, but especially for leaders, because you're the one establishing the future of the organization and the culture and the customers and the service offerings. And this is again, this is something I learned from Michael Jr. So,
Mhm.
really be intentional about the people you spend time around, because it really does make a difference. But, identify the why behind what you're doing. Um, so for example, if you're a business owner, this is going to be a call out to anybody who's listening that's a business owner. If you have a business owner and you don't have a mission statement yet, you need to make one. There's there's no there's no like, it's a must. You got to go out and make that mission statement. So for example, the mission statement for Team Talented is, a lot of talented communicators struggle with operations and get distracted by operations and logistics. We come alongside them so they can have a bigger impact on the world. And so that means that every single day that every decision I make and all the work that my team puts in, it's so that we can actually help people who are trying to change the world more. So
Mhm.
is my company changing the world? I mean, not directly, but we have a mission to change the world. And so we support those who are directly changing the
Right.
world. And so for those of you who may not know how to make that mission statement, what is the problem? What is the solution? Put yourself in the middle of it. If you
Mhm.
can do those three things, you'll find your mission statement. But it's if you can establish a mission statement that is around serving and helping others, um, there's a lot of studies on depression and anytime somebody's feeling down, a lot of times the best medicine is just to go out and serve people and help people, help in
Yeah.
your community. You won't find many sad people who are spending their days helping others. I mean, you were talking about speaking to a high school today. You're going out to it was a high school, right? Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going out to help people, and that fuels you. And so no matter what your organization is, you're helping somebody. I remember Michael Jr. Met a mechanic, and he was helping him, figure out what his purpose was. And he's like,
Mhm.
what's your purpose? And the guy said, I fix cars. Oh, you can't just stop there. So he helped him learn that what he does is he helps people, parents, moms, dads, get to their desired destination safe and on time. I guarantee you that when that mechanic showed up to work the next day, he had a different speed, he had a different joy, he had a different. So, and as leaders, you can go out and do that. Establish the mission statement for your organization. And if you can find a way, because like I said, the mechanic just fixes cars, but he's serving people more than he realized. So go and find that mission that your company is serving, and and then go share that with your team. Because if they have a why behind what they're doing, they'll put their alarm clock out of business.
Yeah. I love it. I appreciate you sharing that, Mac. So, what's the best way if somebody wants to learn more about Team Talented and you? What's the best way to get in touch with you or do a little
Yeah,
research?
so teamtalented.com. If you are somebody who's currently a speaker, we do have a form that you can fill out on there. If you're looking to, we really work with established speakers. So I wish I had the time and ability to help everybody get into speaking. But if you're an established speaker and you're looking for help, or if you're a touring artist, a comedian, or something like that, and you want help, great. Teamtalented.com. And then, I did mention, michaeljr.com if you want to go
Mhm.
check out some of his stuff. And for those of you who want to learn more about that conflict thing that I was talking about, because it has changed my life, and I've watched it change the lives of 75,000 people around the world now. Um, funnyhowmarriageworks.com. It's great for marriage. It's great for leaders. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mac MacCutcheon with Team Talented, I appreciate you being on the Business Spotlight series. Thanks for
Hey, thanks for having me, David. It was an honor.
awesome.